Top of the morning to you, and welcome to WANK, the weekly AEW news kick. It's a body we show. I'm gradually turning into a pirate. I am joined, as always, by my not Irish friend, but honorary Irish because it is his namesake day, St. Patrick of Germany. How is it going, Patrick?
Oh, hello.
And it is a day for him also, as he is pale and ginger. I could have done so much more with that joke. Wasted opportunity, it feels like, rather than just poking you with a stick and saying,
"Where's the gold?
Hey, Ginger, where's the gold? Where's the gold, you bastard? Where's your Lucky Charms?" Shaken by his legs. It's Jack Griffin.
Sure to be sure, I'm the WANK.
That's Kermit! You sound like fucking Kermit! Oh, sure to be.
Sure to be sure, laddie.
Applause!
Top of the morning to you. You know what? I'm taking it and I'm running it.
We are, it is our St. Patrick's Day Slam special. What that means is that we didn't think we were unprofessional enough, so we decided we're going to get drunk while we do the podcast.
Yeah. If the podcast needed more unprofessionalism, we just add us with alcohol, and you've got some sort of weird formula, which we're going to see how this works out.
Because there is nothing that says respect to a country like reducing their national identity to getting wankered. So as part of our show, I've got a rule for you guys that I haven't told you that I'm springing on you, and you guys can do it at home. This can be a drink along show, right? So
can I just say, you said it's a drink along show. I usually listen to my podcast in the morning. I just got this image now of someone listening to us at like 9 a.m. just like, oh fuck, now I've got a drink.
Think of an alcoholic who's sober and listening to it. Okay, they said it. Okay, I'm done.
I feel like our podcast would attract a higher than average number of alcoholics, and if they weren't coming in, they will be after a few episodes. Especially this one. So the rules are, if you want to say something critical, you have to take a drink. You want to say something negative or critical, you have to take a drink. And also, we will also all drink anytime you hear this.
My name is Finley, and I love to drink.
So yeah, when you hear "My name is Finley and I love to drink," that's was Fit Finley's, David Finley's father's. Well, he wasn't called Fit Finley in WWE, he was just called Finley. His entrance music, and onto the end, I've spliced Father Jack from the sitcom Father Ted, shouting "drink," which I'm not sure if Patrick's familiar with. Oh, we also will have a new segment this week. We're introducing a new segment.
Are we?
Patrick's hit. Patrick. Well, it's not a real. It's not a chill out, editor. It's not a big segment. It's just Patrick is now going to be naming his heel moment of the week. This is in light of probably the funniest reaction to a heel I've ever seen, which was MJF being on last week's episode when they turned on the Inner Circle. He was he went kind of ultra heel. And Emi Sakura, Mei Saruga, and I want to know his name off the top of my head because I have actually seen him wrestle in DDT. I've forgotten his name anyway. He's this Indian guy. They were doing a react along to the episode, and when MJF kind of turned heel on the heels, Mei Saruga reacted thusly.
God damn it.
So that sound we will play when Patrick decides his heel moment of the week. So, Dynamite time. Our first match of the night was Penta El Cerro M versus Cody Rhodes. I shall come to Jack. What do you think of this match?
You know what? I think out of every episode I edit, you always go Patrick first. So I'm honoured you come to me now. Penta versus Cody. I loved it. It had some good action. Quite physical match. Surprised with the outcome in the end, if I'm honest. I was too. I thought he was, because Cody's got a kind of history of putting people over. Yeah, but I don't.
Except when he had that TNT title run.
Yeah, I don't think though that this will be the last of it, based on sort of what's happened after. So I mean, in terms of the match, it was a great opener. I think everyone will agree. I'm still fuming that they've still got the old, not the old, I mean, it's technically the new Cody entrance theme with the Snoop Dogg. I'm wondering when they're going to drop it, because to me, it's just, you know, it's lived its life now.
It's bad.
Yeah, it's just, I'm just done with it. But in terms of the match now, I thought there were some good spots. I liked particularly the one where, and Tom will tell me the proper move, what it's called, but off the top rope.
A lot of pressure.
Top rope, Cody throwing Penta off. It was kind of like
Rana.
Hurricane Rana. There you go. That was particular. That was my, I'd say, spot of the match. But now, obviously, long story short, Cody got the win, and Tom will obviously do the play-by-play. But I did think Penta would win. I don't know why, but Cody obviously got the win. But I still don't think this is the end. And obviously, we'll quickly touch on the end of the match. Obviously, Penta beat down Cody. Did anyone else join him, Tom, or was it just Penta?
No, it was just Penta.
It was just Penta.
Well, there was a save made, but it was just Penta
saved by QT.
The Nightmare family, essentially.
Yeah, the Nightmare family, excluding QT Marshall, who.
Well, it was initially Arn that tried to save him, but then Arn just stood there. I felt like maybe they got their timing wrong because he ran into the ring, and then they just looked at each other, and Arn just kind of stood there like. You know, and then, the Nightmare family came down, and by the Nightmare family, I mean Dustin Rhodes and the Gun Club.
Yeah.
And then QT came out super late, and everyone was like, where were you? I thought it was weird he came out at all after what he did with Lee Johnson. I thought that was kind of a definitive enough portrayal of the Nightmare family.
Well, it kind of felt like the moment when, you know, with the Young Bucks were getting beat down, and then... It was the Good Brothers came out like super late. It was just
but it feels like this is happening in the wrong order because it feels like him abandoning Lee Johnson because he was getting beaten down, wasn't he? That feels like something far more severe than being late to a save. Do you know what I mean? It feels like if they were trying to get QT Marshall on a heel turn thing and out of the
they definitely are.
Yeah, but I'm saying if they were, they should. Sure, that just felt like they should be in the other order.
Yeah,
I will give you the play-by-play before I come to Patrick. Do you like cats, Patrick? Nope. Okay. Starting off, we had Alex. We're back after composing ourselves because. Patrick was getting revenge on me, apparently, and not reacting to my joke. Alex Abrahantes was cutting a promo translating for Penta with his shit-eating grin. And JR called it out that he's kind of enjoying it too much. Do you know what I mean? He's just a broadcast partner providing, you know, commentary because he was there circumstantially. And he seems to be just reveling in it. I didn't actually write down what he said. It was, again, something to do early paternity leave, wasn't it? He's like, he'll have to put you on early paternity leave. It's like, do you ever see the South Park episode where the Apple employees, the Genius Desk or whatever, they're enjoying inconveniencing people to like a sexual level, and they start like rubbing their nipples when they're like, oh, you'll have to bring it to the other desk. Oh, you'll have to bring it in next week. That's like Alex Abrahantes. He's like, when he's just talking about, you know, hurting Cody, it seems to be almost sexual for him. He's like, I'm gonna hurt your arm. Penta kind of launched himself out of the ring towards Cody. Started out with a lot of intensity. There was some brawling outside. As Jack touched on, there was a top rope Hurricane Rana from Cody. Cody bust out a lot of moves in this match. Penta actually recovered a little bit too quickly for my liking from that Hurricane Rana you talked about, because that was a big spot, and then he was just like up and actually dominated the match for like the middle third straight after that off the back of it, and it was like it didn't feel like particularly good pacing. And yeah, he was in control, targeting Cody's shoulder, and then after he was dominating for a while, Cody hit a tope on him, I believe, into a barricade they had propped up against another barricade kind of thing. Yeah, then he hit a Canadian Destroyer and then a Cody Cutter and then a Crossroads. After that entire combo, Penta kicked out, and I'm thinking, should he have kicked out of that? It was kind of shit all over. Like, you know, not to mention that he was just terminated this match. Like nothing was doing anything to him, and it just felt weird. Like I said, that Hurricane Rana, he recovered far too quickly for that to just completely, on a switch flip, be dominating the match. And then he took a ridiculous amount of 2 finishes, if you count the Cody Cutter as a finisher, and a Canadian Destroyer, which is always a high impact move, or it's supposed to be, or it used to be. And then Cody's honest to goodness finisher, and he kicked out. Cody then hit the Cop Killer after this, Homicide's finisher, which was like, what the fuck is that coming from? That was insane. And I don't know if it's probably not PC to call it. Maybe it is PC again to call it the Cop Killer, given recent events. But I think they call it something else. But Cody then started doing the kind of limb targeting like Penta had been doing, and started slamming Penta's knee into the ring post. He went for a figure 4. I think Penta got to the ropes. He went for a second figure 4, and Penta did a really nice counter of that figure 4 somehow into his arm breaker. But Cody ended up, despite that, getting a roll up for the win. And then what happened after the match, we've already talked about. Patrick, thoughts on this match and everything I've just touched on?
Yeah, he touched on really good, like how Penta kicked out of Cody's moves, didn't really sell them, and then also I have the problem with it. Shoutouts to Hugh. That
you have a problem. You have to drink.
Okay, I have to drink. But just let me finish it.
Okay.
Before it's ending up in a weird joke again. We're all laughing, and I forgot my point. But in the end, that Cody wasn't also selling Penta's arm breaker move, because in Lucha Underground he used to snap arms or break arms with it, and they sold it really hard. And then Cody was just rolled out of it and did, like you said before, so many finishers. But then the match was won by a roll up. Yeah, that was a little weird. So that's my criticism. But before I drink, I also have the heel move of the episode. Can you play?
Oh, of course. This soon. Wow, yes. I wasn't expecting this. Let's pass it over to May Saruga to react to whatever Patrick's about to tell us. Actually, no. Makes sense if you do it first. Got to work out the kinks. If you say it first, then she reacts.
Penta wearing a St. Patty's Day hat.
God damn it.
God damn it, indeed. He did not pull it off.
No. It's okay. I revoked that. I wanted to do a joke. That's not my heel moment of it, but that was my highlight.
You're abusing the soundbite system.
When Penta was wearing that hat, that was really cool because he's such a cool heel.
You know what? Just for that.
My name is Finley, and I love to drink.
We all have to drink for that. And you at home. But just worth it to get Patrick to do another one after his mandatory criticism shot.
Yeah,
no, I think we touched on everything there.
So in the end, it was a good match in the end, but it had
decent match, I'd say.
Some point. It was decent. It was like technically also from Cody himself. It was a really good match. Maybe Penta made him look that good in the end, I would say maybe, but they could have done more out of it. But it was a TV match, so it's fine.
It was a good match. It wasn't a great match. I did appreciate Cody busting out some, different moves outside of his usual repertoire. Like I said, has he used the Cop Killer before, or whatever its more politically correct name is? The one where he gets him onto his... You know what move I'm talking about, don't you, Patrick? He gets him upside down on the back. Homicide. It used to be Homicide's finisher, and then drops him onto the head. I didn't
know that it was Homicide, but I remember that move, and I don't think he did that before. Because in the matches we saw before, mostly he was just bound to his moveset he always uses. So it was nice to see something else.
It's kind of his OVW/WWE training is the kind of bound to the moveset thing, and he got that 3-star match machine moniker that he's been trying to break away from. But
right.
Next up, we had Alex Marvez interviewing the Young Bucks. Don Callis interrupted them and admitted that the Young Bucks didn't actually kick him, and he played up to Kenny by putting makeup on for his black eye. He tells them they're not elite anymore. Would you agree with him, Patrick?
Yeah. Not with him directly.
But would you say the Young Bucks have lost a bit of their shine than their old New Japan selves, for instance?
Yeah, definitely they did. Maybe they got more involved into other stuff or so, now I don't want to sound mean or bad that they're now like the corporate.
This doesn't count as a criticism. You don't have to take a shot.
Okay, good. Good. No, but I wouldn't say they are the corporate bucks now, but they are now on a bigger stage. They are even, I don't know, they're doing even more or even better than before maybe with their moveset, but it's not as innovative or edgy or indie as it was.
I just don't know how they get that.
Like before.
It used to feel like such a spectacle watching them on New Japan or even Ring of Honor. And they just used to feel so special.
PWG, so...
Yeah. And again, maybe that part of that is just not having a live crowd there. But even when the live crowd was there, it felt like they didn't have that same kind of connection like the fans are watching, like, God's wrestling. Do you know what I mean? Like they used to have. Like, the Elite specifically... even like Marty Skull and Hangman Page and all that. Maybe, actually, to be honest, Hangman Page didn't really... He was kind of the weak link, to be honest. He's not anymore, obviously. But, you know, it just felt like when you saw these guys wrestle, it was just something like super, super, super special. And there was just a magic about it. But I don't know. I would be inclined to blame them initially trying to put everybody over at the expense of themselves and them caring too much about what people who don't even watch the product say about them being EVPs and booking themselves into spots. You know, you get the fucking marks going, oh, but when Triple H does it, you're all about... Like, shut the fuck up. Triple H is like 60. I mean, he's not actually 60, but you know what I mean? There's a difference. It's a false equivalency. So, like, yeah. I always said what they needed was an on-screen authority figure, not necessarily Tony Khan, but like Arn Anderson or somebody like that, do you know what I mean, to a point as the GM, because then it takes the heat off them booking themselves. If you've got someone who's kayfabe booking the matches, then you know you can rationalize it in your head and make sense, and that's what they always needed. But instead, no, they have this impression amongst wrestling fans that they're booking all the matches, so whenever they win, it's a hollow victory because they booked it. Do you know what I mean? And so I think to counteract that, they lost a shit ton of matches. They put over Private Party, which I called at the time in the first round of the tag team tournaments to crown the first champions. They put over Santana Ortiz in their match. I think there was another tag team in there. They lost like 3 or 4 big tag team matches in a row, and it's like, oh, Shadow You former selves. Kenny went for a similar thing. And I don't know, it's just taking a bit of shine off for when they actually have started winning again, you know? But I don't know, we'll see. One thing I did like about this segment was how Excalibur casually used an insult as a segue into the next bit. He was like, Don Callis living up to his reputation of human garbage there. And in other news, Jay Cargill, like, he just like offhand called Don Callis like human garbage, just like a complete offhand comment as he went into the next segment, which was Jay Cargill versus Danny Jordan.
But I wasn't done yet, Tom. Now you can hit the heel moment of the week, please, after this segment.
Okay, which segment was that?
Don Callis telling the Bucks they don't have it anymore, and this is why they're not elite anymore.
God damn it.
God damn it, Don. So heel. Next up, we had Jay Cargill versus Danny Jordan. What has Jay Cargill done to earn this level of a entrance in her second ever match? Like, this is just what I don't understand. She's had one match. Danny Jordan, who she was facing, has had more matches than her, and she didn't even get an entrance. Yet Jade Cargill has the lights going out and like strobe lighting and like a fucking custom pattern on the floor and this kind of big, you know, light display and shit. And it's like, what the fuck is going on? Couldn't really comment on this match at all because she did like one move, a German suplex, and then she hit her finisher, which I think is called the Jaded, which kind of clever, I guess. And gets the 1, 2, 3. Came to Jack first on the last one. Patrick, what?
Yeah. Shall we even talk about this segment, or?
I mean, no, we can just move right on. But we don't have to talk about the match because there's nothing.
No.
What's going on? I don't understand how someone's.
Nah.
Is she not? Is she?
They just want to introduce her and make her
she's really, really famous or
that's
something.
Yeah, I
but
don't
I've
know.
never
Maybe
seen-
they
I've
want to
never
make
seen-
her the next big thing in the women's division. I think that's what they're trying to do, like a little bit like with Lance Archer when he came in for
But
the
they
TNT
started that
title
before she
tournament,
even had a
but-
match. But they started doing
That's
that
the
before she
thing.
even had a match. Before she even had a pro wrestling
Yeah.
match, not just an AEW match. I don't think she was a pro wrestler before this. She was a basketball player. I don't understand. A college basketball player, not like... I don't
Yeah,
I don't get
know.
it.
They're maybe proper introduction, and then I don't know. I also don't get it. Let's see what this will bring in the future. Her matches, this match was also fine. I have to say there was nothing special, but technically there was no botch, nothing like not like the
'Cause it's only about 2
WWE women's. Yeah, but still, like you can see when somebody can move in the ring and has the athletics for it. It's some like back in the Divas era in WWE, you could directly see when they were shitty and it was just 80% of the women, and you didn't see that with her now. But let's see how this will develop for the future. So.
Well, I was very critical of that, so I'm going to have a little chug-a-lug. What I will say, though, while I'm doing that, is something else they mentioned during this match. This probably counts as separate criticism, so I'll do a twofer. They mentioned Red Velvet, who I love, by the way. I actually thought she was standout in that match against Cody with Cody and Shaq. I actually thought she stood out more than Jade Cargill. She is number 1 ranked. In the women's title rankings. I can't, other than that other match, I don't think I've ever seen her wrestle on Dynamite. Do you think, I'll pose this question to Jack because we've just spoken to Patrick. Do you think that Dark and the Dark win-loss record counting the same as Dynamite is negatively kind of skewing the win-loss record? And it's. Do you think it's having a positive or a negative impact, Dark, on the win-loss record, given that Red Velvet, who has hardly appeared on Dynamite, is number 1 ranked for the women's title?
I'm going to be honest. I think it's having a positive, because, and I'll say this, if it either didn't impact the win-loss or maybe counted for less, I think when you then see these people on Dynamite, it has less of an impact, if that makes sense. Like, for me, if I saw someone, say, example, had 10 wins in a row, but it's on Dark, at least then you're like, okay, at least they're being pushed another way, which makes sense for them to be on the main show because they're getting this little push. It seems like a bigger deal. If it was just someone, who'd had 0 matches and no one heard of, like if it was one of these indie talents that's on Dark.
So like Jade Cargill then.
But yeah, but no, I think I like it, if I'm honest, because it's introducing people to new talent. Granted, I don't watch it on YouTube, but I respect that it's there. I see the results. I know who the people are to watch out for. Like Bear Country, obviously they were on last night, sorry. And obviously they've been big from Dark. So if you don't watch Dark, but at least you know the names. But no, I think I like Dark. I don't watch it because I don't like watching matches really. Where I know the result. Dynamite's a bit different because it's the main show, but no, I don't tend to watch it. But I respect the way they do it, and I much prefer that than them just out of nowhere dropping someone on a Wednesday Dynamite with no experience in AEW at all, even Dark, and expect people to give a shit really. At least
like
with
Jade Cargill. This is what I mean.
No, but weirdly, I quite like Jade Cargill.
Just shooting something in there, but what are your thoughts if they would do that, make it like a league system? So when you're in Dark, you have to get this and this much wins to get promoted to Dynamite, and then when you're bad at Dynamite,
Bro,
you
that's
get
a
relegated
banger.
to Dark.
Yes,
That's a banger of an
I get
idea.
on board that. Yeah,
Just an idea. And this would make people make them more emotionally invested. Maybe also in lower matches, like of course, like the was it Peter Avalon versus how's that guy called again? Match.
Caesar Benoni.
No, Caesar Benoni. No, the guy who edits BTE.
Oh, Brandon Cutler.
Brandon Cutler, yes, that was a great match. Sorry, Brandon, I forgot your name. But that was a great match, but it would put more emotion, more drive into it. But the Americans don't know about like relegation, promotion shit because they just have this league system, which is not a real league system. Sorry.
Yeah, they have no concept of relegation. They don't have a concept of draws. They don't like that. They don't like when people draw in American sports. They have to go to overtime. Like you can't go home and have nobody's won. Do you know what I mean? It's a foreign concept. Yeah, no. Oh, and his name is Caesar Bananarama that you were talking about, Brandon Cutler. So
My name is Finley, and I love to drink.
he loves to drink. To our next segment, MGF introducing his new group that would be called Pinnacle. The Pinnacle. Thoughts on the name, first of all, lads? Coming to Jack again. I've got a bias for him tonight.
Yeah, the name. So I was wondering what they were going to call themselves because I was like, will he do some sort of clever play on Inner Circle? I mean, maybe not clever play, but like Outer Square or something like that, just like to take the piss. But no, the Pinnacle.
Square. I love it.
But no, I think I quite like it. I don't know whether any of you have seen the merch that they've released. It says the Pinnacle. It's a background of a mountain. Which looks quite, looks kind of dope. I'm a fan. I think it's going to be hard to get me to say anything negative because I'm such a positive Nelly. But no, I like it.
Good job. You pre-drunk the most, then, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. But no, like the name. Yeah.
Yeah, good. If I do a little play-by-play with this, came out to new music. MGF's kind of a more fleshed out, rockier version of his original music. Really like that. Tully got on the mic, actually, first, and not MJF. It was a little bit of a surprise, but I suppose it makes sense because he's not going to be there wrestling, is he? So it makes sense for him to be a mouthpiece of sorts. Called the Inner Circle the greatest group, and that they'd, taken out the greatest group, and now they'd kind of ascended to the pinnacle. Do you know what I mean? They've become the baddest group in wrestling, and they're at the pinnacle. Says he wanted to start his career and finish his career with the best. So obviously he started with the Four Horsemen, and wants to finish with the pinnacle. Then MJF got on the mic, and it was a blinder of a promo from him, I have to say. Started about saying, "Guess I'm Judas now, huh?" And yeah, he says it wasn't easy pretending to like Jericho. He went after Jericho's weight, his hairline, the distance of his pecs from one another. I think to begin with, I can't remember the joke he made about his weight. I just wrote down that he went after his weight, but it's something about him running or something like that must have been difficult. And then and then his hairline, and then talking about his pecs. He basically mentioned how he had kind of worked us all into a shoot, brother. He had played us for fools because we all thought, and he's right. He's right. We were all like, well, it's obviously going to happen at some point.
Well, I remember saying in our Revolution review, literally the episode before we reviewed, him announcing this pinnacle. I remember saying to Patrick on that, I was like, I don't know where it goes from here now. MJF's probably going to try and take over the Inner Circle or something along them lines.
Well, we were saying he's going to take over the Inner Circle.
We were confident.
And he was like, I convinced the Inner Circle of it, I convinced you all of it. And to his credit, he did. Then he went down the line of kind of bigging up, everyone in the group. One that stuck out for me was saying about Sean Spears, saying he's always been a top guy. And now he's going to prove it week in, week out, which is music to the ears. The idea of Sean Spears actually getting
hallelujah
matches. Yeah, I know. And reminds us, I mean, he bigged up War Dog and FTR as well. But then he came to himself, reminded us that he's only 24 and that he has 25 plus years left in him. And was just like, that's just got to make you seethe, doesn't it? And and it does. He is a bastard. But not like Pac. He is legitimately a little shit bastard. That's not a criticism, because he's heel. He's supposed to get that reaction from me. This is good shit. Patrick, was this good shit, this whole promo? Such good shit.
Such good shit, brother. Yeah. That was really cool. A really nice promo. Not my heel moment of the evening. I can directly say that. But just for the sake that it was MJF, so you're kind of expecting it. The other thing with Don Callis was more unexpected, but there was really nice storytelling. And I noticed also that I would say Wardlow is not really part of the group because he's not like, he's more the mercenary from, or the bouncer of MJF. So I would say you can see the real, like, they're drawing really the same characters as in the original Four Horsemen. So MJF is Ric Flair, Tully Blanchard is represented by Sean Spears, and the Anderson brothers are, of course, FTR. So you got that lineup like they had it before.
He did introduce Wardlow with the rest of them, though, didn't he? Like,
yeah, he did. He did. But he's not like a wrestler that like they are, because he's not competing that often. So he's more like the manager or the bouncer or whatever, or security from MJF in that group and that constellation, definitely. But I like that, like how they introduced the group and everything. That was proper. Also telling the story. He fooled me. Also, I thought he kicks out Chris Jericho, and then last week they turned up and had a complete new group. So perfect.
I'm glad the Inner Circle are intact and back. They're kind of, even though they didn't feature this week. By the way, when they were showing the video of Jericho taking that powerbomb, that was a big bump he took. Like, I didn't kind of realise it until they showed it from all those different angles. That was a big old bump.
And can I add something? I'm going to drink directly before I say it. It's criticism.
Yeah, go on.
I drank already, but I think the logo of the Pinnacle sucks.
Oh.
Yeah, it looks for me like a standard Canva logo you can get everywhere. It doesn't look really special. But that's my point. It's not about the logo or so, but my point.
There we go. Jack, do you have a counter argument about the logo?
No comment.
Get a fight going. No comment.
Nah, nothing. No, I understand why Patrick could have that sort of opinion. No, that's
because I'm German. Because I'm white.
No, I just mean I understand why some people wouldn't like it and some people would.
Jurassic Express and Bear Country versus Matt Hardy, Private Party, and The Butcher and the Blade. I'll start off with the play-by-play before I come to you on this. We had Boulder and Bronson, are they, of Bear Country? They absolutely yeeted Marco out of the ring at their opponents. And a really kind of funny little bit here was Luchasaurus came and asked them for kind of pointers and directions of how to do that in the future, which I thought was good. And they were like, you just chuck him. It was a really confusing start, I thought. It just, I don't know. I couldn't really put my finger on it, but it was a bit hectic at the beginning. Wasn't really clear where it started, and it was just a really weird kind of flow at the beginning. Nice little spot that I kind of liked them putting Butcher over. He kind of just absolutely ate a clothesline and absorbed the clothesline from Luchasaurus, and then hit one back like 10 times harder and knocked Luchasaurus off his feet. Nice exploder suplex from Bronson. Kind of Bear Country making themselves look decent. Really bad chant, which I can only assume started by Austin Gunn. Here's my swig. Bear Country. It doesn't work. It doesn't fly off the tongue. Didn't like it. Isaiah then kind of leveled Marco with a kick. Matt Hardy kind of tagged himself. Oh, they hit Gin and Juice, and then Matt Hardy kind of tagged himself in, as he is liable to do. Hit the Twist of Fate. Marco is dead at this point. He takes that big kick from Isaiah, and then two finishes in a row, one of which was a tag finisher. Of course, it was Marco's stunt. Poor Marco. And yeah, 1, 2, 3. Matt Hardy's music has lyrics now. I don't know if you guys noticed that. That's the last point I want to put on that. Let's come to Patrick. How did you like this match?
That was a weird match. I have to say, it was very confusing.
Weird, right? Thank you. Can you? I was having trouble explaining what was so weird about it, specifically the beginning of the match. Maybe you can help, because I was like, I don't know what I'm watching here, but it's just weird. It doesn't fit. It feels disjointed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Disjointed is a really good word. So first of all, the constellation of the teams was weird and didn't really fit together. There was no story behind that match, really. Lack of chemistry from both sides, of course, in the beginning with Bear Country, but they also had it in between. That it shows that they're not getting along with Jurassic Express. I guess this will lead to a singles match or a tag team match between them. But in the end, the match was also kind of pointless to me. I don't know. It's hard to put in words. There was no emotional connection for me to the match itself. And then the thing you said that one of the guns started this Bear Country chant, but also doing the but this was especially odd, I think. And also the what was it? The chant, this Jungle Boy, oh, they started it in the match again, tried to do that. This annoys the shit out of me, really. Like, please stop it. It's just not cool when it's not done organically by a crowd, but just by a guy who's paid or who's on steroids or cocaine, I don't know. But just please stop it.
I was going to talk about this later on in the show, about the main event, because that's when it occurred. But, might be the main event, it depends. I want to talk about that later as well, about what was the main event officially. But I noticed it in Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker. When you were saying then about just don't let it be organic, it's so bad when it's not organic, the chants with fans, not just the chants, but I noticed it when they went into the crowd in that match. Just the overacting of being into it from the fake crowd, from the wrestler crowd, the jobber crowd. And it's like, here's one thing I don't understand is why do that? Why I sound like Michael Scott in The Office then. Why are you the way that you are? I hate so much about the things you do. I just they're like jumping, they're like holding their face, like, oh wow, like, but like in a really unnatural way. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, seriously, aren't you guys also wrestling fans? Isn't that why you got into wrestling? Why don't you just sit and just forget yourselves for a moment and just let yourself mark out? Why do you have to like be so? Because they clearly are being so image conscious with how they react, and I don't know. Do you guys feel that too? Do you notice that they're kind of, the fake smiles, fake plastered faces? Do you know what I mean? You can tell who's a real fan and who's genuinely experiencing joy and marking out, and who's kind of faking it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do, in a way. I think it's nice having them there. They add something. And, kind of 50-50 times, I think 50% of the times they do the right thing. But I think when the cameras are then on them, they get a bit kind of... Obviously, Tony Khan's told them when they're on the side, they are their characters, obviously. So I think
they're thinking way too much.
Yeah, they are. I agree with you. If I was one of them, I'd just be like, look, I'm not wrestling tonight, or I might have been wrestling on Dark, but I'm watching the show. It's 2-hour live television. Just enjoy yourself. Like, watch it as an actual wrestling fan. You know what I mean? I
suppose maybe they are trying to, but in a sense, maybe I'm just playing devil's advocate here because I know it was a point I complained about, so it's kind of silly me to do this. But I suppose in a sense they're used to having like 10,000 people in there, for a crowd reaction, and there's like 50 around the ring, so they've got to, if that. So I guess they're like trying to energy it up as if it was a full crowd. Do you know what I mean? And just,
massively, yeah.
But I don't know. I think you can be loud without all the unnecessary stuff that they kind of dick about. We would say in Britain.
They must have been in a wrestling crowd before, so they know what they got to do. They just
kind of. That's what I mean. You've got to be fans as well as you wouldn't be in the business. Let's move on from that match. We had a promo with Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. I really like this. I know. I think Jon Moxley gets some unnecessary stick, especially from people in our friend group, about his formulaic promos. I actually really liked the addition of Eddie Kingston to this, and I've liked his promos doubly since Eddie's been involved. I kind of really like the banter, and I like them kind of standing backstage and kind of both looking into the camera, and it's a really old school feel to the promos. I just said what happened. I'm going to read this while I come to you, one of you. What did you think, Jack?
Yeah, I like it. I've not really got too much to say because, it is a promo from these two. We talk about their sort of promos a lot, but no, I did like it. I like the chemistry they've got. I like that Mox has a friend now. I know we like him as a lone wolf. He doesn't need nobody, but it's nice to see him have someone now. And I hope, because I had a weird feeling. I was like, what if Eddie's using Mox to boost him? But I don't think he is.
No.
I think now it's a nice friendship. But I kind of don't like how he's just kind of Eddie Kingston's forgotten about the Butcher and the Blade and his family now. They've just they've both just kind of out of nowhere all of a sudden by the split second of just, okay, Eddie's gone with Mox, Butcher and the Blade have gone with Matt Hardy's weird sort of party he's got going on. I wouldn't like to be invited to that party.
He'll feed you grapes, essentially. I think you've seen the recent BTU.
But no, long story short, it is good. They've got a good thing going, and long may it continue in my eyes.
Yeah, one thing that absolutely creased me up was, I think it was Kingston, correct me if I'm wrong. I think Eddie Kingston compared Luke Gallows to Forky.
Yes, that was great.
Yeah, that was really good.
I lost it. That was fucking hilarious. And
we know that Eddie Kingston watches Toy Story now. Cool dude, really.
Yeah, and Carl Anderson he called Chad Too Bad, which I think was his old ring name or something. He just they completely ripped the shit out of them. They were really funny, and they were taking the piss out of the how they all have names for each other, like Hoot. They all call each other Hoot in the Bullet Club, or in the old school Bullet Club they used to. The Good Brothers specifically would call them that. Like they called Finn Balor, or aka Prince Devitt, was Big Dick Hoot, or fucks a lot of girls Hoot. So apparently he got mad pussy in Japan. And AJ Styles they used to call Republican Hoot. When then we all kind of realise why after AJ Styles been quite vocal about Flat Earther Hoot. I think he should be now. They were kind of taking the piss out of how they call people Hoot. And again, really like this. They were like questioning whether they're actually allowed to say Bullet Club or not. They're like, yeah, fuck it, Bullet Club. Like, do you know what I mean? So they're like, the forbidden door's open now, fuck it, do you know what I mean? So, and I really like this. I think if people look at this and still say Mox's promos are really formulaic and stuff, I think they kind of have to check themselves, because they're funny. Do you know what I mean? And a lot of his complaints before is like, oh yeah, I'm crazy, I'm going to kick your ass. But then obviously you have to be quite a controlled guy to be making jokes like that. Do you know what I mean? So I think he can, I don't know what more you'd expect from Jon Moxley. I think he cuts a decent promo. Next up, Dasha Gonzalez interviewed Christian Cage. Speaking of good promos, quite like this. Thoughts on this one, Patrick?
Yeah, that was also very good. Decent one. The only thing I didn't like is this outwork everyone thing, but Christian directly showed what he is capable of on the mic. The thing like WWE didn't give him enough time for, like on the mic or so, like cutting promos. But it's cool that he calls himself Workhorse. I like that. But yeah, it was a good promo. I'm really looking forward, really excited for his matches. I also like that he said, he pointed that out also before during the week in some interviews or news from the Dirt Sheets. He said like he's not gonna challenge Kenny Omega directly for the title. So he made that also clear in the promo that he will make his way up, work his way up with matches with the ranking system. And I'm really looking forward to the first match. I hope it will be in the next weeks already. Yeah. Not only on Dark.
Well, he did say his goal eventually is Kenny's spot. But yeah, no, I liked it. It was a very cohesive promo as far as promo work goes. He initially said, she was like, why are you here? Dash Gonzalez was like, why are you here? And why have you come to AEW? And he was like, I do want to answer that question, I'll come back to it. And unlike a lot of people who say that, he actually did come back to it at the end and explain why he was there. But before that, he went on, as you say, he was describing about work rate. And to be honest, I know you're not a big fan of the outwork everyone thing, but I don't actually think it breaks kayfabe. I think it can work in kayfabe, because it's just like, if you think in kayfabe, someone who has a high work rate and they're giving their all into their matches, and that works in kayfabe or not. In kayfabe, you could just have someone who's not high work rate but still wins. They could just be someone who's like conserving their energy or something in their matches. You know what I mean? So yeah, I do think I don't think outwork everybody, and I more than anyone complain about when stuff breaks kayfabe, particularly in AEW. But I think it works. And yeah, he just explained that, said he wants Kenny's spot, and then came back at the end of the interview to explain why he's there, and that's to outwork everybody and to cement his legacy, he said, which I think he is going to do. I have every faith in him. Next up, it was Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston versus the Good Brothers. I was surprised this wasn't second to last. I was surprised that another match was after this, but we'll talk about that later. First off, we'll talk about this match. What do you make of it, Jack?
Yeah, loved it. I think worth noting because I'm not sure a lot of people, I mean, it is worth mentioning. Obviously, before this match, when we last saw the Good Brothers in AEW, they had some sort of silverware around their waist. I don't know if you remember that, lads, the Impact Tag Team Championships. I don't know whether...
I haven't seen it yet! I was gonna take off my headset during less important shows, and you weren't going to talk to me about it. Fuck! Right, when we get to less important shows... No, I'm not talking about Sacrifice, but now I know one of them, so go on.
You little bitch boy.
You little bitch boy, fuck you. It's getting hostile.
I mean...
My name is Finley. I love to drink.
Oh, we must drink.
Been a while.
All right, now I've spoiled it. Might as well keep going.
Speaking of Finley, isn't it his son that's taken the title then?
I'm not going to say anything, Tom.
Well, you might as well now. You said they haven't got this.
Now we can talk about less important shows. But yes, so no silverware around.
Maybe they've lost it. Maybe they lost it at airport security.
Maybe they did.
The match.
But yes, nonetheless, the Good Brothers are no longer tag team champs. I mean, I kind of felt the difference because there's some, obviously Kenny's going after all these titles now. There's some credibility his kind of two best mates in the tag team also have a title somewhere. So I'm wondering whether they lost the titles to then maybe gain a tag title off someone else. Maybe the Bucks, they're building it a little bit. That's just my own kind of theory. But in terms of the match itself, yeah, liked it. I thought, I don't know what it is about Eddie Kingston, but he seemed a bit slow in this one. I don't know if that was just me.
Kingston's always a little bit slow,
yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
I don't think that's why people come to the show, as it were. I don't think that's why he sells tickets. I think it's his promos, his personality.
And also...
He's a capable wrestler.
Yeah.
I think that's it. He's not an amazing wrestler. He's capable.
Also, I love Gallows. I mean, I've loved him, obviously, since I first watched him. But he's just... I would, let's just say I'd not like to meet him in a dark alleyway after a night out or so, and he'd scared the shit out of me. He's just...
Forky, yeah.
Yeah, it's just Forky.
Just Forky.
Trash.
But no, I like the match. Good match. It wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be, personally, because I think there was one match that stood out for me last night. But nonetheless, a good match. Good to see these guys, going for each other, and it's nice to, even though the Kenny Mox story's over, it's also not over, because I think that match, obviously, at Revolution had to be the end of that kind of feud. But it's nice they've still got a little bit going, obviously now in the form of coming after Eddie a bit more, maybe a Kenny Eddie match at some point. Not that I think Eddie's going to win the title, but it'd be nice to see that. They seem to have a little bit of
love it if he did.
Yeah, I imagine. But no, good match. Not the best match of the night, and that is me done.
I disagree that it was a good match. I thought it was... I don't think it was a bad match. I think it was a below average match. I think... Okay, so I'll go through my play-by-play. Good Brothers obviously came out and attacked Kingston on the rampway before he came out. That got a big kind of heel heat from me. I was like, oh, you bastards. Mox obviously comes out, saves him. We did have my favourite audible call of the night from Tony Schiavone when I can't remember who it was. I think it was one of the Good Brothers. Was kind of I think they had Kingston in the corner, which he spent far too long there, which I'll come to in a minute. But I think they had like their hands near his mouth or something, and Tony Schiavone kind of loses himself for a second and goes, bite off a finger, and then there's silence, and Tony himself just goes, I can't believe I just said that. He just like calls himself out.
I didn't hear that actually.
Yeah, I'll have to find it again. It was so like he was like, I'm getting carried away here. He called himself out. Nobody else did. It was hilarious. Yeah, I think it was partially owing to the break and the fact that we were still seeing it on Fight TV, but there was an absolute nothing beatdown. And when I say nothing beatdowns, I mean where like no particular big moves happens, full of rest holds, or someone throws someone to the ground and then gets them in a headlock, then brings them back up and throws them to the ground and gets them in another headlock, and then brings them back up. And there was a lot of this from kind of Gallows and Anderson doing the old corner isolation on Eddie, which works and obviously always leads to the hot tag, which it did, but it went on for far too long in my opinion. Mox did get that kind of inevitable hot tag. I think he hit a pile driver on Carl Anderson, was it? He must have been. I can't see him hitting a pile driver on Luke Gallows unless it was like made a big deal at like a pay-per-view or something. The Good Brothers hit a sort of, I want to say like a reverse 3D kind of thing, like instead of off the off the front, it was like a back 3D. And Mox gets another roll-up pin, as we saw earlier in the evening, to win. Yeah, not my biggest match of the night. I'll talk about what happened after the match, and then I'll come to Patrick about his opinions on everything. Kenny came out dancing to his own music, which was fantastic. And the announcers had some more fun at Don Callis' expense. I think the living embodiment of pond scum, they called him. I think that one was Tony Schiavone. Yeah, Carl Anderson put a chair on Eddie's leg, stomped on it, and then a chair went around Mox's neck. And this is when the Young Bucks came out. Gallows and Anderson are trying to convince him to do the too sweet. Nick and Mac refuse, and they go to leave, and Kenny gets really handsy and angry that they're not too sweet, and then tries to keep him in the ring, like, do the fucking too sweet, kind of thing. And yeah, Mox, obviously, in this time that's taken them to kind of squabble, Mox has gotten up and, is going ballistic with a chair, clears the ring. The announcers mentioned that Callis has not only just left, but Callis has run out of the arena. So I think he did that at Wrestle Kingdom once. Was it Wrestle Kingdom? Or he did that on New Japan once anyway, where, I don't know if it was one of the ones where Jericho was there. Callis just for like the first third or half of the show just ran out of the arena because Suzuki was around, I think it was. But yeah, and then Doc Samson was having to hold Eddie Kingston down because he wanted to get in the ring with his mate. Patrick, first off, give me your thoughts on the match before we talk about what happened after the match.
So the match was quite okay. I guess they like the match. Was it the match before? Let me just look before. No. Yeah, like with Cody and Penta also. I think more because it was a weekly match that it wasn't that big, and they might build up a bigger story around that and give them another match, maybe in a stipulation or so one day. I don't know. But, they are capable of more, but it was a good match. Also, storytelling was nice. What happened afterwards was also really good. Leaves also questions open to always the thing you have to ask yourself, will they form a group? Will they be together with, the Young Bucks lining up with them or whatever? But also to see what might happen in the future with that whole Kenny and Good Brothers and Young Bucks stipulation, history, whatever. If the Good Brothers will really challenge the Young Bucks, maybe on a weekly show, because the next pay-per-view is a little far away.
Nah, they're going to build
tag
it,
team titles.
They're going to build it for Double or Nothing, I reckon. Or maybe a bit longer, but
maybe.
I think they're going to build it for a
but
bit.
a title match. And maybe the Good Brothers are winning then the AEW tag titles. I don't know. Although they said after, they haven't concluded any storylines yet for after Impact Rebellion, after the Kenny title for title match. So let's see what comes. But this is really interesting. Like I said, match not the best. storyline-wise. Very good storytelling, very interesting. Many possibilities that might happen, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Maybe we're all being a little bit critical. Well, maybe I'm being a little bit critical because you guys are a bit more forgiving than me. But yeah, I wasn't a fan of the match. But, after the match, good stuff, good storytelling. Next up, we have... Oh, fuck my life, right. Do you guys just want to crack new drinks now, just for this next bit? Because I think we're gonna need a drink each.
Fresh drinks. To be fair, I'm still
I haven't
pretty
even finished
full.
my old one.
Still pretty full.
Haven't finished my last one. I've cracked a new one because it's time, ladies and gentlemen, to talk about Tony Schiavone talks to Sting and Darby Allin.
It's Sting.
I legit.
And getting interrupted again.
I think I hate Sting. I never. It's Groundhog Day. It's Groundhog Day. I can't deal with this anymore. I'm done. I'm done. Right. I might as well go play by play. Sting and Darby Allin are still apparently affiliated, which makes zero fucking sense why Sting didn't come to help him last week when he was getting beat the shit out of by Scorpio Sky. Darby Allin says he's defended the title 3 times. The crowd are fucking idiots and cheer, thinking he means that in a good way. And he has to correct them and go, no, don't cheer. That was the fake crowd, was it? Like,
yeah, well, there was no crowd there.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah,
so,
it was a taped show.
It was a taped show.
So the talent are idiots then. I did notice it was a tape show actually because there was some overdubbing by the commentary.
Yeah, because you couldn't see the audience. They didn't show any of the audience. It was just dark. Like Austin Gunn, so they were the only ones cheering. You could hear sometimes this fake crowd thing, and we maybe come to that later on in the next match. We come to that, but if it's pre-taped, they're not keeping the picture-in-picture on Fight TV. They're going also into break.
Yeah.
So then their talent crowd are stupid then.
Yeah, for sure.
And not actually
because of the guns,
not actually paying attention and actually absorbing what anyone's saying. Because Darby goes, do you know when I won the title? And he was like, blah, 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 2020. Like, I can't remember the exact date. September or something? I don't know. He's like, you know how many times I defended that title? 3 times. Anyone with a mind can tell, or anyone who follows the product can tell, yeah, he hasn't defended it a lot at all. And he's pissed about it. And the crowd are like, woo! Like, no! Like, that's not a good thing. Everyone's like, yeah, he's defended it 3 times. No, fuck. And then he had to be like, no, don't cheer. Like, I had to shut it down. Yeah, that was dumb. Lance Archer interrupts again. Yeah, calls
Time. This was your time. This is now my time.
He didn't have the time fetish this week. He called him something like, I can't remember what it was. Indie-rific, I think he called it.
Your time is up, my time is now.
He did have the time fetish. He said it multiple times.
Time. Their time, bruv. Yeah, he says he'll put him in a coffin if he likes coffins so much. Pretty much basic stuff, to be honest. I don't think it took a genius to write this stuff, which I guess Lance Archer isn't. Jake was on the mic for a while. Some alright stuff. Probably poor by Jake the Snake Roberts standards, but still, it was alright. Then Taz interrupted, and I screamed. I did the Michael Scott from The Office. No! Just in my living room by myself, uncontrollably screaming about hearing Taz's voice as part of a Sting interview / Darby promo. I'm so fucking done. Hopefully this is the end of it because they seem to be facilitating a Brian Cage face turn by this because Taz started trying to talk. And trying to continue this nightmare, this absolute wrestling nightmare.
It's your fucking nightmare.
It is a fucking nightmare. But then Brian Cage said, no, you're not going to talk for me today, Taz. I'm going to talk for myself. And then everyone's trying to stop him. Ricky Stark's trying to stop it. Everyone's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And he's like, "Ricky's wrong and stuff like this. You're a good guy. And you're good at what you do." He's like, "I respect you. I just want to say I respect you." And then the whole team are like, "What the fuck are you doing? What are you doing?" Team Taz. And then Brian Cage fucks off. So hopefully this is the end of it, and they're just utilizing their rivalry to start a new one with Brian Cage, and these two can just not be involved anymore. One thing to say more about this. Sting didn't say a single word. Another interview with Sting, before he said a couple of things, maybe one sentence and got cut off. This is worse than it's ever been. He was interview with Sting where he didn't say a word, not one word, and it was over. But they don't see how illogical it is that people just cut off and they're like, yeah, well, we won't finish the interview. We didn't even start the interview, let alone finish it with Sting. I can't anymore, Jack. I can't. I'm drinking.
Right. I'm gonna go with the positives before we go into negatives. That's not many.
Christ, you're looking for a diamond in a cow shit.
There are none. Please go on.
No. The only one I can think is I think it'd be cool if you have like a Cage versus Hobbs match or something, like the fact basically Cage turning face and like
big meaty men slapping me.
Yeah, big meaty men slapping me. That is the positive. The negative, Lance Archer just seems so irrelevant at the moment in this storyline. Like he just seems
right.
It
just
seems
come
so
out twice and done the same thing.
It seems so unorganically. At least with the Penta Cody thing, like at least they had a match together. Lance Archer didn't. He could have picked a feud with anyone else in that face. Like, pick a feud with fucking Ethan Page. Not Cody.
Where's Ethan Page? Yeah.
I know. But at least pick a match with someone relevant to what's happened with you. Even if you have to, trawl back a little bit and just, find a match that you had maybe a couple months ago before Revolution. Just pick something relevant. This doesn't seem relevant at all. I get that, they want to push Lance Archer for titles, and at the moment he's not, in the world title picture, so it's putting him in the TNT picture. But it doesn't make sense. Then you take over, to Team Taz, hearing his voice again, it's just like, aren't you gone?
I couldn't. I had a mini fucking.
Honestly, I'll tell you what it's like. It's like
hearing his voice.
It's like that bit in Austin Powers when they think they kill Will Ferrell's character, and he's like, "Can somebody help?" And still, it's like, "You're not dead yet. You're not gone." It's like that.
The wound smells gangrenous.
The only
has gone gangrenous.
I think that was two negatives. So I have two sips of my drink to take. Thing I do like though is the open challenge to any member of the Dark Order.
Yes.
That bit I think deserves credit because I like the fact that I think hopefully this is a conscious thing on Darby's part. I'd hope is that he knows. Like I don't think he's dumb. He knows he hasn't challenged it enough, so that's why he's done what Cody done, open challenge. I think that's right for the TNT, an open challenge. It's because it's a good way to bring people in, as we saw Cody's done. And I think starting with Dark Order is the right thing to do, and especially where there's the segment coming up where obviously they nominate who to do it. But I like how he didn't solo out anyone either. He was like, this is an open challenger to the whole of Dark Order.
Yeah.
Face me. So again, that also, I like the fact maybe it might not just be one member of the Dark Order he faces. Maybe it'll be a couple, which would be quite nice because they deserve that.
Although they started out with arguably the biggest one. So we'll talk about that later.
But no, it was such dumb shit. But there was some little, positives to take from it, if any.
Just before, I don't want to talk about this much longer, but what we'll say before we move on is, I just want to remind you, we voted, the three of us, for our award show, the holy shit moment of the year, Sting returning, Sting coming back to wrestling, debut in AEW, and now I just want him to fucking go away. Honestly, dude, how have AEW managed to do that to someone like Sting? It's insane to me. Like, I love AEW. It's my favourite. It's my favourite promotion, I suppose. Yeah, it's definitely my favourite North American promotion. I'm not sure they have the best in-ring product, but as a whole, it's my favourite promotion. I can't abide this shit anymore. I can't take it. I can't take any more Sting. And it's honestly like he's brought a disease with him, and anyone who gets involved in the angle catches this disease, and then this disease, how it manifests is they just do the same shit every fucking week. Like Lance Archer's got it now, and now he's coming out and just saying things and going away and reacting on anything. Time. Like, oh my god. Yeah, I think I said everything I need to say. Patrick, sum this up in 10 words or less.
Thank you.
Perfect. After that segment, I think we're all in need of a stiff drink, so...
My name is Finley, and I love to drink.
He loves to drink.
Let's do as we're told, boys.
And everyone listening at home, or wherever you listen to your podcast, maybe at the gym. No, gyms aren't
open,
And,
yeah.
Well, that and nobody
Gyms in
listens to
Iceland
our
are
podcast
open.
has seen a gym in yet. Fuck you. That was like you see Peep Show with Johnson, and he's like, "What? Fuck you." It was overblown, overkill. Sorry, Patrick. Okay,
It's
yeah.
okay.
Then we had love you. Then we had a promo from Scorpio Sky, very short. Won't even come to either of you with this because it was a whole load of nothing. Said he's tired of being a nice guy and he's willing to hurt people to get what he wants. That was the top and tail of it. Next up, we had Rey Fenix versus Angelico. What a Lucha Underground match we have here. I will ask you about this before I give any sort of play-by-play. One thing I want to say, though, is what is the situation with Penta and Death Triangle? Because, obviously, it's called Death Triangle 3. You know, De La Muerte, you know, it's three people, right? And, yeah, he seems to be heel in a traditional kind of heel-face rivalry with Cody. And these two seem to be face and tagging up and not acknowledging Penta every week, not coming out with him. Like, is Penta still in Death Triangle? And if not, are they going to have to call it Death Line? Or Death... Like, what's got two sides?
Death Right Angle.
Death Right Angle. Yes.
Yeah, right.
Come to you, Patrick.
Good
Give me
point,
thoughts
yeah.
on this match. Well, that and the match as a whole.
Yeah, first of all, to the Death Line or...
Death Right Angle, I think, was settled.
Death Right Angle. Yeah, that's really weird. Also, like, if they want to give Penta a singles push, which I highly welcome, really, I'm really looking forward to that. But I don't get why he's not coming out with them. They're not coming out with him. And Pac could be also translator, although I like that Alex Abrahantes is doing that, but or doing the part there.
Does he speak Spanish?
No, Pac, like they can speak Spanish.
They can just, even if he doesn't,
they can speak English in some way. Yeah, they can just tell him because they obviously both speak very good English or like at one point English. So I don't think like or bring Alex Abrahantes with them in it that he's the translator of the group or I don't know, but just not letting them appear and pushing that before a lot. Obviously, we know why he wasn't with both of them for some weeks because of the visa troubles. But they could, like, I don't know, they could maybe involve that also in the storyline. I don't know. But coming to the match, that's number 2 of weird matches of the night.
It was a weird match.
I didn't get a vibe or so. I also have to say, this is what I was talking about also with Hugh, that Angelico as well as Jake Evans, they're like, since they're back, they're not connecting. They didn't have anything impactful or so. Although they're like in the beginning, they were very important to the tag team scene, and now they're not getting like their feet on the ground or so, like you would say, and they're just really just popping up in my mind when they're interrupting for Matt Hardy, like as mercenaries, Dark Order matches, but other than that, they're not really like appearing to me at all, like being memorized or so. And also, what was really shitty in that match, it was interrupted by a break, even on Fight, which shows... Yeah, and that was completely weird, because obviously, maybe you also skipped the break, then I skipped the break, there's always like 2-3 minute breaks or so, then I skipped that, and then the match was over already. I was like, and then I had to scroll back. Weird.
This is the thing, and maybe it was a problem with how they structured the match. But the slow portion started out at the beginning. It started out with some... So I'll go by play-by-play now, so I can tell you what I mean, because it's kind of necessary. It started out with... Phoenix started out with a submission, actually, and then it went into some nice chain wrestling. Angelico was targeting the lower back of Phoenix. Tony Schiavone was actually acting a little bit heel. He was like, yeah, go for the back, go for the back. I was like, okay. It was, because I thought in my mind, Tony Schiavone is supposed to be face, except he makes this kind of exception for Britt Baker. Anyway, Angelico does a nice inverted Romero special, rare cool, from Excalibur. And then it cuts away, right, after the slow portion of the match. And it comes back, and like all hell is broken loose. Like JR's marking out. Do you know what I mean? Clearly, some good shit's gone down during the break because the match is now going at 120 miles an hour. Like I think it cut back, and fucking Phoenix was yeeting himself back into the ring, and just it clearly ramped up an extra level, and would miss the entire beginning of that segment. And then and then, like I said, it was really high pace, and then. Angelico goes for the Navarro death roll. I think he gets out of it, and and then a nice kind of combination from Phoenix, and then he hits the combination. It was a nice combination that ended in a crucifix bomb. I can't really describe it more than that. But then he got his pile drive with a little head kick in, and it was over, as you say. Bizarre match. Jack, thoughts? I mean, I know these are two high flyers. And you're a high-flying fan, was that enough to make this a decent match for you, or was it also ruined for you by the weird structuring and cutaways?
Yeah, unfortunately for me, and I need to get another drink actually because there's my criticism. This wasn't a match I thought it'd be. So on paper, you look at this match, and I originally thought, it's a bit of a nothing match. But me being my changed ways, actually turned into a bit of fan of TH2 and Angelico. And obviously loving Ray Phoenix, I thought, you know what, let's not judge this before it started. These are two wrestlers I'm actually liking.
Well, I had high hopes for it, not because they're both high flyers, but because they are both former Lucha Underground guys and have met each other before. And I thought, well, these guys know each other. There's going to be a lot of chemistry here. There's going to be a lot of just weird and disjointed. That's kind of the theme for tonight's Dynamite up till the next match.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But yes, so I went into it with some sort of, hope because of how much I've been liking them, and it just felt very out of place, very storyline wise random. Like there's just seen no sort of reason for this match other than just
I would say there was less of a reason for this match than there was for Patrick mentioned it earlier. There was no reason for was it Patrick? I think no reason for the Jurassic Express against Matt Hardy's crew match. There was no point for that. There was less of a point for this. There was less background going. This was just an absolutely out of nowhere match. Like felt like a time filler, and I have no idea why this. I'm going to talk about this a bit when we start the next match. I'll get my drink out of the way when you're talking next because it's a criticism. But and again, we'll talk about them how they're selling it as the main event, or why they're selling Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa in the main event when it's a lights out match. Blah blah blah. I'll talk about that in a minute. But by rules and standards they've set before, this, and they even mentioned it on this show, that this ends our regular part of the card. This ends our scheduled programming. Do you know what I mean? Before the lights out match, they said that. So really, this was their main event, and. Why is this the main event? And why is the Good Brothers versus Mox and Eddie not above this on the card? It's bizarre, right?
Very, very bizarre. It didn't seem right at all. And it's just another reason just to kind of look and be like, why have you done that? You're not tricking anyone. We all know that's the main event, the Brit match. But because of this lights out unsanctioned, it's not. But they haven't seemed to think about it that much. But what I wanted to say was I feel sorry for TH2 at the moment because in a way that, Matt Hardy signed Private Party and he was getting TH2 involved. Now, TH2, they're obviously not 100%, similar to Private Party, but they're a lot more similar to Private Party than Butcher and a Blade. And it seems like Matt Hardy's now acquired Butcher and a Blade because Eddie Kingston's gone off.
It was on a plate for them.
Yeah.
It was on a plate for them for TH2 to fill this role that Butcher and Blade now are. But even when they came out together, Angelico was even vibing to Private Party's entrance music. Yeah. They all wear the bright colours. They could coordinate their ring gear. It's on a plate, and they brought the Butcher and the Blade in. It makes no fucking sense.
It's like Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy just sort of. It's like Matt Hardy had TH2, and then he got told by Tony Schiavone, not Tony Khan.
The Tony.
The other Tony, that Eddie's going off with Mox, so Butcher and the Blade are free. And Matt's like, I'd much rather have Butcher and Blade on my side. So it's kind of been like, okay, you can have Butcher and Blade, bye TH2, with no sort of reasoning, just dropped them because, Matt Hardy's probably he is one of the top blokes in AEW, and he's probably just said, I'd prefer to work with Butcher and the Blade, which I mean, it's a bit unfair on TH2, but this is obviously how it's ended. And you got like a handful of wrestlers in AEW who are just the random picks. So the ones where they want to have a match for either, Ray Phoenix and this to obviously build up a bit of Ray Phoenix and Pac screen time before their tag team championship match. And they've just got like a selection where they just go, oh yeah, we'll throw them in. They can work in singles, or we'll throw them in. They can work in tag, i.e. Chaos Project come to mind. Obviously TH2 now. The Side-Out brothers seem to be coming into mind as well. Just all these wrestlers.
Like jobbers, but not really jobbers.
Yeah,
space fillers.
They're like, if you look at the AEW card and you split it up, you've got obviously your top people, that are the most relevant at that time. You've got the ones that are then like the B ones, the second. And then you've got these where they're not the indie talent and the jobbers that are on Dark getting like put over, but they're the ones that they can wrestle. But that you can put the other wrestler over by having them face. Yeah, so very weird match. Probably one of my least favourites of the night, and which is weird since I love high flyers. But yeah, it just didn't gel with me.
Completely agree. Patrick, anything you want to add to that before we move on?
No, nothing. Like we're all. I think all on one point, this is really weird, and I like that you pointed out that this was actually the real main event, and then it's even more head shaking that they're not putting the Good Brothers versus Eddie Kingston and John Moxley into the main event. So, but let's see.
And then we had Alex Marvez interviewing Miro and Kip. Well, he started interviewing Miro, and then Kip graciously made his presence felt halfway through. Miro said that he's over it with Best Friends. He's past it. He doesn't want... and I still don't know if this is a word or not, or whether it's just something Miro's made up. He doesn't want the match even with Chuck's offer of butlership. I don't know if that's a word or not. I feel like it isn't, but I don't know enough to dispute it. Then Kip came in and said, "Oh, they ruined my wedding. Take this match from me. Let's have this match." And then, as is customary now in a Miro promo, he took another dig at WWE, which I think is getting a bit much now, to be honest, because I'm getting a bit bored of it. That's a criticism. I'll take a drink in a sec. He mentioned how he said something to Kip along the lines of, "Take it from me, if you want to get anywhere in the wrestling business, you don't want your wife ringside." Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, that was obviously a dig for him being Rusev and Lana in WWE. And then kind of, again, quite a confusing promo, because when they left, Alex Marvez still wasn't clear whether they're having the match or not. He was like, "Are you taking the match?" And Kip said, "Of course we're taking the match." And then it kind of abruptly cut away, and I feel like there was some of that promo cut out. Again, Dynamite being a bit weird today. Patrick, thoughts on this promo?
I was like also in this kind of like, oh, not again. I was hoping it was over at some point, or they're getting at least like a singles match between Miro and Orange Cassidy. That's actually, I think, what everyone rather wants to see than everything else. By the way, I liked that Orange Cassidy was posting this week not on Dynamite, probably not on Dynamite, Orange Cassidy, and he was correct with that. He wasn't there. That was really good. He put that up on his Twitter or his social feed. And,
that's funny, because it's like his teeth.
Yeah, that was really good.
That's like classic Cassidy.
Yeah, right. He was just selling the truth. That was really good. But yeah, I liked the reference actually, but I also get that it's a little too much now with the WWE references. Also that Don Callis was holding... Yeah, because Don Callis was already holding up that shirt. Don't slap your leg when you're kicking or so. That's a little too much now. But I like that, and now that's the thing. What I'm now a little happy about more than the Sting situations, that we might have like an ending and seeing at the end of the horizon, because he said that you don't want to have your wife, and he doesn't care about that. He just wants to be a world champion. So. Yeah, this clearly looks like it heads into the direction that they're splitting up. Thankfully, finally at some point, and Miro can go
It'll be so
his
good
own
for
way.
Miro. I don't know how they ever thought.
Yeah, definitely.
This was the way to introduce Miro to AEW.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really looking forward to that now. Finally, after how long is he there now? Like 3/4 of a year or so? I don't know. When he came over,
flown by.
It's flown by, but
feud, so
yeah, there was nothing from him really on screen. Like not a real match.
And then Marvez sped across the venue from their locker room, because we are believing this is live, of course, and found the Dark Order's locker room. Didn't seem out of breath at all, running from one place to the other in seconds. And wanted to get the answer for who will be answering Darby Allin's open challenge. -1 wanted it, and they were like, maybe you're only 9, maybe in 15 years time or whatever. Not 15. You could probably do it in about 10 years time, couldn't you?
Evil Uno said maybe in a decade.
There you go, 10 years.
Yeah.
And then it was, of course, the Meat Man, John Silver, Johnny Hungy, Jack. Did you see it being anyone else? And following on what we talked about earlier, if they are making their way through the Dark Order, how do they follow this?
No, I didn't see it being anyone else. And to answer the next question, if they were to go with someone else next, I'd like to see. Let's go with Stu Grayson, because I think that'd be a cool.
Really,
cool
I thought you were going to say Preston Vance or Alan Five Angels. His official name on this podcast.
Of course. Now, I mean, after saying that earlier, obviously they could work their way through. It would be cool if they worked their way through and then.
But if they were going to do that, surely you wouldn't start with John Silver, would you? He'd be the main event.
Or they get it for everyone, and then they're like, "Oh, we've run out of people." And then boom, Hangman comes in, faces Darby, wins the TNT,
like that.
Yeah, wins the TNT title, and brings the TNT title back to the Dark Order.
And then they have a lovely tribute for Brody, and then
there you go, exactly.
Goes home happy, feel good moment.
There we go, and that's what I'm going to end on there. I think that's a nice way to predict it for me. But now I'm happy with John Silver. Don't think he's going to win, which is going to be a shame. I don't know who's going to be the next one to take off Darby, but look forward to whoever it is when it happens.
I reckon those two can put on a good match, though.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That brings us to the main event of the evening, or was it? Just want to get this out of the way, my negativity. Let's find out which one of these cans I've got in front of me. They're piling up, lads. I'm getting a bit shit-faced, if I'm honest. Which one of these actually has alcohol in? There's one. There's my sup, so I can be negative. Was it the main event? Here's the thing, right? They have, and I know why they're doing it, and that's fair enough, right? They want to be. I mean, we all know this is basically the main event of a show. The last one on, whether they call it unsanctioned or not, it's basically the main event. But the precedent they've set before is that it's not the main event, because they've wanted to put over multiple people at once. Do you know what I mean? So, like at Full Gear, when it was Kenny versus Mox for the title, I can't remember who was
wasn't for the title.
Last match on. No, that's what I meant. Sorry, I'm getting drunk. Sorry. I'm saying the one below that was probably for the title. No.
Yeah, it would have been. Was it Jericho versus Cody?
Exactly. So they're saying this is the main event, and they did it at Fyter Fest as well. Joe Janela versus John Moxley in an unsanctioned match, and they were like the Elite versus the Lucha Brothers and Laredo Kid. They were like, this is the main event, and then like I said at Full Gear, they were like, okay, Cody Jericho, this is the main event because this one's a lights out match. You know what I mean? And they've made a very clear precedent of saying this isn't a main event because it's a lights out match. It doesn't count on the thing. Now, when they are faced with having two women in the main event and making what is, regardless, a very kind of progressive move, do you know what I mean? Having them kind of headline their show in such kind of physical contest, they're saying they're calling it the main event. Do you know what I mean? Even when they have oh man, I'm getting so pissed. Justin Roberts in the ring saying this ends our regularly scheduled card, you know what I mean? And lights going to black, and even when they're still saying that the show's over and this doesn't count, this is a separate thing, they're still calling it the main event, which I understand. I understand why they're doing it. Do you know what I mean? They want to be seen as being quite, they don't want to take it away from the girls, what an accomplishment this is. But again, I want to just say, if it really is that way, then why? Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know what point I'm making. I'm too many beers deep. Someone stop me. This was an incredible fucking match. Wrestling Observer Radio called it one of the greatest matches, one of the greatest women's matches we've ever seen in North America. Would you agree? I'm going to Jack. I know I've come to Jack a lot. I'm very sorry.
Too right, you should come to Jack. No, this was insane. I don't even know where to start with this. I mean, I guess we start from the start. So, unsanctioned lights out match. I mean, this was a great way to finish off what's been a legendary women's rivalry, not just in AEW, but just, as you said, in North American wrestling. I mean, these two are just stars. They made each other look so good. And I mean, the only negative I've got with this feud is that, you know, the two previous matches, I think there's two previous singles matches they've had. Britt Baker's won them both. So now this is like the third one. So Britt Baker's won, 2 out of 2 so far. But no, unsanctioned lights out. These two, you know, they're violent girls. This made sense for them. This feud is fiery. And this was the only way they could kind of culminate it. Obviously, they come out, gets off to a flying start. I'll let Tom do play-by-play, so I won't try and nick that from him. But safe to say it goes all over the place.
As if you could. As if you've taken notes.
Exactly. I don't take notes. I just enjoy. But no, this was an important match as well, because from the criticism, and I think everyone will agree, criticism that the women's division got last year. We've said it multiple times. We don't need to repeat it.
Garbage. 2020. Well, I'm repeating it anyway. The AEW 2020 women's division was hot garbage.
Exactly. And New Year's resolution clearly from Tony Khan and AEW was this women's division needs to improve. And boy, has it. And this has just been. And for me, it was quite emotional watching. They put on YouTube after the match a video with Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker. It was just the after effects, the fallout of the match of you. So wish. And you know, you could tell it meant everything to these girls. Especially Thunder Rosa gave quite a powerful promo, saying about how much this means for women's wrestling. You know, and all this sort of stuff. Go check it out if you haven't seen it. And one of the best bits I like is after the match, all the wrestlers seem to be gathering in one of the areas in Daly's place. And I think it was Thunder Rosa was walking back. I don't know if it's heading to the locker room, but it was in this open space anyway. And all wrestlers were there just clapping and cheering as they were coming off. And that's just kind of, you know, I imagine they do that often, but just to see it on camera, you know, like
I think they probably only do that with special matches.
Yeah, exactly. And it seemed like there was a bit where Britt Baker, it was the first clip off this video, where she kind of looked a bit, you know, annoyed. I guess that's because she lost or whatever, but I don't know. But anyway, Tony Khan was basically just saying to her, like, look, this was a legendary match. Like, this was, you know, one of our best Dynamites we've done, and you've, like, main evented it. This is something to be proud of, and it's true. Like, this is a lot of work in the making. Like, this women's division has not been easy to watch at times, and to see it now. And, you know...
It's payoff for investment, do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Still watching it, you know?
Exactly. And I know our mate VJ in our wrestling chat says that Thunder Rosa is probably going to go back to NWA now. And
I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not. But if she does, and, you know, I don't think she will personally, but even if she did, you know, she's left the AEW women's division in a lot better state than it was
than she found it. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think, you know what, there's some really good girls in that division, and I know you don't need Thunder Rosa. I know she's kind of had a good influence, but I'm hoping that, you know, they've learned something. There's enough. Both of
those girls from NWA have, Serena Deeb's influence cannot be understated. I'm sure she's done some backroom work, but the matches she's had, how she's made people look, and it's an investment. Do you know what I mean? How good you make someone look, they can then pass that on. It has a chain. It's a domino effect. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, massively.
You make Tay Conti look like a star. Tay Conti then gets stock from the fans. Do you know what I mean? Where they buy into her, and then she goes and has a great match with someone else. And do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's just nice, and it's just nice to see it happen like this. I mean, the match was brutal in itself. Like I said, I'll let you do play-by-play. I had some key moments which you'll obviously touch on, but I just wanted to touch on that because I think it is quite an emotional story, the AEW's women's division, and it's nice to...
I got emotional watching it. I felt emotional watching it. It
was just brilliant, and hats off to AEW and the women's division, and Britt and Thunder Rosa for, you know, making this match happen, and, you know, putting their stamp on women's wrestling history, really.
got my first 5-star of the year from any match I watched. I will give it the play-by-play and I'll throw over to Patrick. Okay, so we started out. It was the first ever Dynamite Lights Out match, and I will say this now, even though it occurs later. But Jim Ross was commentary in this match. Okay, so Jim Ross said it was AEW's first Lights Out match. No, it was AEW's fourth Lights Out match. It's Dynamite's, as Excalibur got it right every time he said it. It was Dynamite's first. We had one at Fyter Fest, we had one at Full Gear, and we had one on Dark, but it was Dynamite's first. But Jim Ross, God bless him, at one point called an audible saying it was AEW's first Lights Out match, which it was not. Okay, so started out, Britt flew at Rosa through the ropes, and then hit her with an air raid crash, like, straight on the ramp. Like, immediately, you're like, okay, this isn't going to be a normal match. Got a chair out. We saw that Sheila was watching. Austin Gunn seemed drunk as they went into the crowd, and then, like, did you not see him? They, like, went into the crowd. Austin Gunn was there going, woo! Like, he was like...
Another annoying moment of him. I was like, what?
No.
Please.
This was Spring Break Austin Gunn. Like, it's he's off the clock. It's lights out. He's gonna do some shots. That's what I'm putting it down to. Yeah, just this emotional, serious moment of Austin Gunn going, woo, like a drunk girl at Mardi Gras. Rosa misses a senton onto the chair. This was in the crowd. This was about when I started kind of noticing annoying fake fans. But yeah, she was going to do a senton onto a seated Britt Baker in the chair. Britt Baker gets up. Rosa misses, levels into the chair. They show Jade Cargill in the crowd because, of course, she's the handpicked. She's the Roman Reigns of the AEW Women's Division, handpicked and all. Britt and Rebel, not Reba, get the table and set that up. Rosa gets busted open, so she's pissing blood everywhere. It was such a fast-paced match. I can only take a few highlights here. There was great. I just want to call out, because what I love doing is calling out stuff that I think other people have overlooked, because I think of myself as a bit of an intellectual. But no, there was a bit where it's hard to describe it with just your voice, but Britt was throwing some really unorthodox knee strikes. She got Rosa in like a kind of reverse headlock and was kneeing her like that. I was like, hang about, this is quite, it looked brutal, but also it looked quite, as I say, unorthodox and impressive. Rosa reversed a move. I think it was, I'm trying to remember, was it, they called it the blackout or no, I can't remember what it's called. It's like the reverse STO, but I've forgotten what it's exactly called. I think she goes for another, so I've probably written it down later. But anyway, Rosa reversed a move into a chair that was propped into the corner, and she reversed it into a suplex, but she kind of botched the suplex. It wasn't enough for me to dock any points and give this a 4.75. Absolutely, it was still a 5. But she did botch a suplex onto the chair in the corner. Rosa makes a pile of chairs, but Britt ends up being the one who uses them and superplexes her onto them. This was the point where JR botched the first AEW Lights Out match. Rosa ended up bulldogging Britt into the ladder. I think they were selling this as either this is the point where she got busted open because Britt gets busted open, or later on when she gets it drop kicked into her face, which happened next. Rosa kind of ran from the other side of the ring, drop kicked a ladder that was propped on the ropes into Britt's face. And Britt absolutely just starts pissing blood. It was a fantastic or brutal blade job, depending on it. Both. Why not both?
There's now a T-shirt with that on, by the way. You can go buy at Shop AEW.
With her laughing
Of
with
course.
her. Yeah. Rosa gets her own table out. Britt is, as I say, just bleeding like crazy. Rosa starts biting her on the place where she's bladed, which was fucking brutal. Just so much violence and emotion. And one thing I noticed was every time Britt got her by the hair to like point her face at the camera and humiliate her, Rosa, even if she was getting beat down, she like just started fighting back and like slapping her, and it was just so much fire and just so much. It was awesome shit. Rosa hit a Death Valley driver off the fucking ropes onto a ladder. Oh, I've missed one note. Flatline, that's what it's called. Britt hit a flatline into the ladder. That was what she tried to do into the chair earlier. Then Rosa hit the Death Valley driver off the ropes into the ladder. This was... then Britt kicked out, and this was the point where they got the shot of Britt just laughing, covered in blood. Britt then gets the thumbtacks out. I legit thought, I don't know if she did, I legit thought when she got these out, I thought she was going to get a handful of them and do the lockjaw with a mouthful of thumbtacks. Maybe that was a little too brutal, but like
that would be insane.
The standard they were set. I mean, it has been done before, thumbtacks in mouth. It's been done a few times. One that I remember is... Jay Briscoe versus Adam Cole in Ring of Honor. I think it was a fight without honor match. I think Adam Cole put thumbtacks in Jay Briscoe's mouth and super kicked him out.
That would have been cool then if Britt done that to honour her boyfriend.
Yeah, because of Adam Cole, it would have been a throwback, but I guess maybe they wanted to... Patrick's searching something. They wanted to subsist on like their...
Patrick, stop watching porn whilst we're recording.
At this point, I actually stopped taking notes because it got so good. That's something like when a match is so good that I can't even take notes anymore because I can't take my eyes off the action. That's when I know it's some good shit. So perhaps someone else wants to fill me in on the kind of play-by-play of the finish, but Rosa hit her finisher. She hit it through the table, didn't she? The other table that had been set up. Sorry for burping. That's the drinkiness. She and then they kind of scrambled to get Britt's shoulders to the ground and then pinned her. What a match. I will just say JR kind of ruined it by something he said at the end. I don't know if you heard this call. Immediately after one of the greatest women's matches we've ever seen in North American history, JR makes the most fucking accidentally misogynistic audible and said, "Both ladies are damaged goods." And I was like, oh, JR. Oh, JR. That was the first thing he said when it finished. That's the money call is what happens when the 3 gets counted. That's the Michael Cole at WrestleMania when the Undertaker's streak gets beaten saying, "The streak is over." That's the moment. The moment, the money call for this match is JR calling 2 women damaged goods. Aside from JR trying his best to fuck up this match, Patrick, where does this stand in the greatest women's matches North America has seen?
First of all, the match was really awesome. Also, this kind of match is really rare with women, not only in North America, but I think around the world.
I remember. I just want to cut you off, and I can't even remember. I've cut you off for a completely pointless reason because I can't even remember either. I can't remember either of the competitors in it, but I remember the first time I saw it was ICW, and it was ICW before they got into bed with WWE, and they up in Scotland. Just if anyone doesn't know, Insane Championship Wrestling, they produce guys like Grado, Drew McIntyre went there for a while as Drew Galloway. There was a women's match. I think it main evented it as well. And they had a women's kind of hardcore death match. And it's the first time I'd seen anything like that. And it was amazing. And I wish I could remember. If anyone out there knows what it is, please get in touch and tell me. You can get us at... WANK podcast on Instagram and Twitter. But Patrick, what's our email address?
Our email address is wankwrestling@gmail.com.
Thank you very much, Patrick. 2 girls, and they got an ironing board involved at some point, and they, because at this point ICW took place in a bar, so they were like doing moves off the bar, and they like set the ironing board up in the corner and did like moves off that. It was insane. I was like, what? And I just remember thinking, I think this is probably prior to the women's revolution in WWE as well. I was like, why can't they just do this? Why can't women just do this? Do you know what I mean? And now to see it, and it is a game changer because like AEW put their own stamp on the women's movement, which they've really only caught the arse end of because WWE pretty much done it all. Do you know what I mean? Or NXT at least did it all with the 4 horsewomen, and then with them main eventing, pay-per-views, having their own pay-per-view, they're main eventing at WrestleMania. But one thing they haven't done is had a match like this on an international scale from a big, guys. So Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa really stamped their own place in history in this match. Carry on.
Yeah, right, completely right. Also, but I think also like because of the PG era shit, they're not doing that, which is sad. They're delivering.
That's ending though. That's moving back to TV14.
Yeah, but they're still not showing blood. I think even when they're now banning that when you get kicked, that they're slapping. Yeah, that's actually in US saying bad words is more is worse than graphic things like that. Yeah, and also nudity. But anyway, great match. I can just say it again. It was so entertaining. It was hard hitting. It was not just pure violence. It was hard hitting. At one point, coming back to the Brian Cutler and Peter Avalon match where Brian Cutler what is his name again? Brandon. Oh my fucking god! I'm really bad with names. Jack, Tom. No. He put out this W20, D20 or so dice out of it from the Dungeons and Dragons he's doing always. So that was a thing where I was like, why didn't they put in, or why did Britt Baker didn't put in like a dental bridges or so, like something
that would have been cool.
Dentist related. That would have been really cool. Although thumbtacks are really also pretty sick, but. Yeah, I like that. Like also the storytelling in it was great. It was just like you also said, Jack. Maybe I didn't think about it until you said it. This might have been the end of the feud, maybe of Thunder Rosa being on Dynamite. I don't know.
Well, it was VJ that said it. Yeah, but
VJ then. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
but I think. There's a chance. There is a chance.
I think because NWA is not getting back to like a regular schedule where you're also making a lot of money or so. I guess that's one thing, and I think they also still have a joint venture with them or anything that they're still doing that because AEW has one of the best infrastructures now in wrestling during these pandemic times.
Yeah.
But yeah, just awesome, and also. I'm just looking at my calendar. It's just not even 1/4 of the year is gone, and they completely did a 180-degree turnaround with the whole women's division in that short amount of time, and it's amazing. And now I'm really looking forward to what's to come in the rest of the year and the near future. What was interesting, but this is my critic. I'm going to drink afterwards, but my criticism is that Shida was shown in the back.
I'm sorry. I was I hate to cut you off because I was literally debating, should I be critical and mention Shida? Finish what you were saying, and then
it didn't make sense. Yeah, the thing is, like you said it before that Red Velvet is the number one ranked women, but nothing is involved there with Shida. So we're coming back to the point then where the dark matches are really just happening to have like a good ranking or so for the ranking system, to have a lot of wins, but it's not really involving it, because why is Shida then watching that match with her women's title on, although none of the both competitors is really ranked high. Yeah, and Red Velvet is number one contender. So that's the little thing I have to say there. But this is nothing for the match itself. It's more the segment or how AEW presented it. So I would also say, like, I'm not doing a ranking a lot also here in the podcast, but this is a 5-star match, definitely.
I was just about to ask you, would you call it a 5? Would you call it a 5, Jack?
Definitely.
Perfect,
that's definitely
I would, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's perfect. With a one botch in it, but this one botch was like, no, the match was so good. Or two, the match was so good, which lets you forget about this because everything was top notch. So then you're like, okay, that's 5-star match.
I don't think Cody Dustin, which was AEW's, a Wrestling Observer newsletter 5-star match, but also in my mind a 5-star match before I even heard their rating, before I get the internet fucking marks calling me a Dave Meltzer dick rider. That wasn't a flawless match in terms of wrestling execution, but I would still
definitely
say that
not.
was
But storytelling and storytelling, wrestling, storytelling, just keeping you completely like dragged into the story emotionally, and that's what wrestling is also all about. And this is also what the match was here about. It was just not the hard-hitting stuff, and also the emotional stuff. You're like, yeah, you're really buying it. You're like, okay, I'm gonna buy it. You just really fucking hate each other after all these things, and great.
Just when it was so raw, just when. Rosa's
a good word.
rolling her into thumbtacks to get out of the lockjaw, and just and just Britt Baker just roaring and screaming and laughing with her face covered in blood. I'm like, this is fucking war. Do you know what I mean? I was
For sure.
I bought into it so hard. It was just fucking art, man. 5 stars all the way. What I was going to say about my negative, I'm going to be really negative now. I shouldn't end the show so negative after such a good match. I'm going to say probably the most controversial thing I've ever said on this podcast. I think Hikaru Shida's overrated.
Oh, so can we pick up there? Yeah, there was the thing, I think we talked last week or in the Revolution review before about that some people are saying on the internet or just bragging, Hikaru Shida's just the women's championess because she's Kenny Omega's girlfriend, which is not confirmed.
That for sure, do we? Exactly.
No, we don't know that. And Kenny Omega also tweeted before the show, I guess, like, yeah, it's like out there, like something like, yeah, it's out there. I'm preferring. I'm dating so many people out there. I seem to date so many people, but I just like a lot of people. Something like this. So, he's maybe referring a little bit to that backlash, but sorry, but I agree with you, Tom, in terms of kind of view of things, which we've seen the last weeks. To be really honest, like I saw like at least half of the women's wrestlers competing in the tournament are in-ring better than Hikaru Shida and more I don't know the word anymore now in English, but I'm buying it more from them. Their athleticism, very hard word for German, with a TH in it and an L behind. But that's what I'm buying more. I like Shida. I don't know if I gave her like the Women's Wrestler Award last year or so, because last year I think she was there to build it up or shift it a bit, but I didn't see the improvement now. Not an improvement really, but I don't see her now really that good anymore after the first almost 3 months of women's wrestling now in AEW, seeing Thunder Rosa, Serena Deeb, Britt Baker having a fucking awesome progress in her overall thing, and also like in-ring wise, not as a character only, but this match showed that she's in-ring also good. And then I really have to ask, like, is Shida really that good that she's a championess?
And I don't think she is, and I don't think it's anything to do with her being a Joshi. I talked about I was on one of our episodes a while ago. I know neither of you had seen it in less important shows. I was talking about TJPW's, Tokyo Joshi Pro's Positive Chain, and there were so many Joshi wrestlers in that I absolutely loved. Miyu Yamashita, I think she's the best women's wrestler in the world, and she tagged with Maki Ito at Positive Chain, and then they went on to tag together during the tournament of Winter Lovers. The names they have over there, man, I swear. There's a wrestler over there, I'm trying to think, that kind of reminds me of kind of Japanese Layla Hirsch. I don't know if it's is it Yuki Kamafuku or no, I can't remember. Anyway, but they've got Anguilla in Stardom. There's some amazing Joshis out there, so it's nothing to do with Joshi style, but I don't think the ones they've brought to, maybe with the exception of Yuka Sakazaki, the ones they've brought to AEW full time are the best. I'm talking mainly about Hikaru Shida and Riho to a certain extent. I like Riho can sell really well because of flexibility, but again, I kind of find her a bit overrated, and I think there are other Joshis, and you just saw the kind of reception that Maki Ito got recently when she came in. There are other Joshis they could be bringing in, but I don't want to end on too much of a negative note because we had such a good women's match, but I just think it's quite telling that the longest reigning champion Hikaru Shida presided over one of the worst years in women's wrestling for a promotion I've ever seen, and then in the year that they turn it around has had practically nothing to do with it despite still being champion. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I'd love to have my mind changed. Please change my mind. Do you know what I mean? Because and she can go. Do you know what I mean? And she had a decent match. She got a decent match at Nyla Rose, so she can. I think she's good. I just don't think she's great. Do you know what I mean? But hey, that brings us to the end of our show. Lovely chatting with you fellas again. We obviously have our card for the. I'll tell you what. Should we Should we have one of these?
While you are looking up the card, I can drop
I'm
in
not
the
looking up the
numbers.
My name is Finley.
Don't you interrupt Finley. He loves to drink.
I've got to say,
I'm
boys,
gonna
I
drink.
have stopped drinking because I'm too full, man. I can't get a drink down me. So,
I'm shit-faced, Jack.
well, it
Very
was that
My name
takeaway.
is-
Oh, he's off on it again.
I love to drink.
He loves to drink. Have another.
I've got to say, Patrick's tactical eating before drinking might have worked for him. I seem to have hit some sort of. I'm just
Before we do that, let's talk about our match of the night. I mean, obviously, our match of the night was Jade Cargill versus that jobber whose name I've forgotten. I'll start us off. My match of the night was Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker.
Completely agree. Completely.
I also agree.
Jack?
Yeah, I think it's got to be done.
I feel like the women have won more match of the nights, or almost as much as the men, even though they've only had one main event. Or that's debatable, but still.
Right,
All right,
card
Jack,
for next week
read us
then.
next week's card.
Let's go in terms of. Let's just go from top to bottom. Singles match for the TNT Championship: Darby Allin versus John Silver. A tag match: FTR is Sean Spears versus Varsity Blondes and Dante Martin, with Tully Blanchard at ringside. A singles match between Nyla Rose and Tay Conti, with Vicky Guerrero at ringside. And the most confusing match, I remember seeing this being announced on the show, a singles match, AEW World Championship Eliminator match between Kenny Omega with Don Callis at ringside versus Matt Sydal with Mike Sydal at ringside.
And Matt Sydal gets a title shot if he beats Kenny Omega. So
Yeah.
I feel like he's going to beat Kenny Omega. Like, otherwise, why even introduce that stipulation?
It's very
that is
bizarre.
odd. Like you said, it's very weird and confusing. What match are you looking forward to the most off that, Jack?
Let's go for Darby Allin versus John Silver. I think I've got to back my boy Johnny Hungee.
Johnny Hungee, that is the standout one, Patrick.
Johnny Hungee also.
Johnny Hungee.
Tom?
I've got to say, I am. Don't you Tom me? I'm
Don't you tell me.
I'm tempted to go for the Matt Sydal Kenny Omega match purely out of curiosity, because that one has my interest peaked. Not necessarily in a 100% good way, in a mixed feelings way, but I also think that Nyla Rose Tay Conti is going to be an interesting one because it's a rematch, obviously, as we know, from the women's world title tournament and the number one contenders tournament. And we all thought that Tay Conti might go over, so I'm thinking maybe now. I mean, unless they're just planning on just burying Tay Conti and using her a punching bag, I feel like maybe she will get the surprise when we all hope she would, and it will be the start of building Tay Conti up for a title challenge sort of thing. Do you know what I mean?
I do agree.
You know what it's time for, don't you? Are you ready?
Last important shows.
£25 well spent.
How much? Did you say 25 quid?
25.
You didn't say the price last week when I asked, so you've just exposed it now.
25 quid? What's wrong with that? I did. Well, that's what 9 shows. Shall we talk about the New Japan Cup? Has anyone seen any of the New Japan Cup?
I've not seen any, but I've seen promos.
I did watch... What was the one I watched? Shingo Takagi... Oh, watched Kenta versus Minoru Suzuki, and Kenta literally read a newspaper for the first, third of the match, just to annoy Minoru Suzuki.
Nice.
He literally brought a newspaper to the ring, sat down in the corner and started reading a newspaper, and then just kept doing it to piss off Minoru Suzuki. And then Suzuki gets him out of the ring. I know, Suzuki gets him out of the ring and then finally gets the newspaper off him, puts it down in the middle of the ring, sits in front of the newspaper, and Kenta's outside the ring, and Minoru goes come on, read it now then. Come on, sit in front of me now and read it. It was some hilarious banter. Then Shingo Takagi versus Hiroki Goto. I was telling you all, and none of you took my advice, I was telling you all to watch this. It was fantastic, although I still don't think it was better than Goto versus Tai Chi from the first round. So if anyone hasn't seen that yet, do go back and watch it. It's now time to talk about Sacrifice. I haven't seen Sacrifice. I was literally in the process of watching Sacrifice when we started this call. I needed to do some editing for our... I'll tell you what, for this. So let's you know what it means.
My name is Finley,
what's coming?
and I love to plank.
Yeah, me and Patrick are still in. I was editing for that, so I had to pause Sacrifice and couldn't finish Sacrifice. However, I don't want to hear any spoilers other than the one I've already heard, so I'm going to take my headset off and let you two hang out without me like you did at Revolution.
Back to better times, Patrick. Just us two.
Yeah, it's just the two of us again. Well,
Have you
this
seen
is how
Sacrifice?
porn started once. I actually didn't see Sacrifice. I just watched the main events, the finishes or bigger happenings in it. I wanted to watch it still, but I didn't manage to. But as we can talk now that we know that there are new tag team champs, that the title's first time out of the promotion.
Yeah, for sure. That looks
joint
cool.
venture.
Yeah, very excited about that. That's going to be awesome.
Did you watch that match in full?
I didn't. The only match I watched in full was Rich Swann versus Moose. So I don't know. You take the lead with this one, and I'll talk about the Rich Swann Moose one.
Yeah, I just it was really clean, really nice finish from the tag team title match from Finjuice. Really like not a roll up or anything. Shot the finisher. I don't know how the finisher is called yet. I have to admit, and pinned them. I was like, when I saw the finisher, I was like, really? Is this now happening? They lost the titles, and they won the titles in another promotion. Just great. Like I said, I have to watch the full match.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also the main event, I didn't expect Rich Swann to win. Spoiler.
Nah, so we all, I remember saying last week, we were all shocked. Well, we all thought maybe Moose would take it. I was backing Rich Swann, but you guys seemed to back Moose, and I kind of swayed towards that. But no, the match was class, to be fair. I mean, Rich Swann is a really good wrestler. To have a person like Moose challenge you, I mean, to the fact that we all thought Moose was going to win just shows. I thought it was a really good match. Really enjoyed it, and yeah, I think it's well deserved that Rich gets the shot against Kenny for both titles. I think I'm not too. I mean, obviously I'll watch it, but I'm not too hyped for that one because, as I always say, I prefer the matches where I don't know what's going to happen, and I think we can all tell Kenny's going to win that one. Because I don't believe Rich Swann's going to be the AEW World Champion as much as cool as it would be. But that's going to be a really cool match anyway. So Rich Swann still holds the title, and on what date is it? April, sometime in April. We
24th.
There you go.
24th of April, is it?
24th April, we get Rich Swann, the Impact World Champion, versus Kenny Omega, the AEW World Champion. And whoever wins gets both belts, which, is going to look really dope, whoever does get it.
Yeah. And I'm curious to see if they will introduce a single belt for Impact now, because Rich Swann still has both titles on him.
Yeah.
Maybe they're going to get rid of the old title and just say, we're just going to leave it here. The Impact title is way more important. But it's really dope. Maybe to see Kenny with 3 belts. I don't know. But it's interesting. And I'm also, like you said, I'm really sure that Kenny will win that thing. And also interesting, like I said before, that I read that they didn't plan any storylines yet after the pay-per-view. But it's not a bad sign. Maybe they're just planned up until there, and now they're sitting together and putting everything together. What happens afterwards? Hopefully, with NJPW being a little more involved.
Well, you got an NJP.
Okada or so.
Yeah, you got an NJPW tag team having an Impact belt. Hopefully, fingers crossed, you're going to have an AEW wrestler having an Impact belt. So who's to say an Impact talent doesn't win the TNT belt off Darby, and then each of the promotion has another one's belt, except New Japan. But New Japan, like you imagine, eventually in the future, you're going to have Kenny versus Kota Ibushi. It's a really exciting time. I'm enjoying seeing them all kind of move around each other's promotions, and long may it continue.
It's been lovely talking to you, lads, even though I am off my tits.
I'm actually gutted. When I look back now, I should not have had that takeaway, because I now feel bloated and I wish I could have drunk more. But whatever.
You did a fair few pre-drinks.
To be fair, I don't need an occasion to drink. I'll probably drink next
Finley,
week.
And I love to drink.
There you go.
Yeah, I'll just drink next week to make up for it.
Thanks for joining us again from wherever you are in the world. Yeah, it's goodbye from a very drunk me. Any parting words, Patrick? It's your namesake day. Or it was yesterday, anyway.
Yeah, right. No, it was yesterday. Yeah, it was lovely. I have to say, like, my club won after 6 games of losses. Won finally again on St. Patrick's Day. It was a blast, and then having such a good show, it's just wonderful.
This was Patrick's football team, who share a name with a popular fast food chicken restaurant.
Other fast food chicken restaurants are available.
Yeah. Chicken Cottage FC. No, this is KFC. I've run out of wrestler catchphrases to borrow. So I'll tell you what, there is a bigger kind of deposit of is wrestling facts that are relevant to our episode. How's that? How should I end up with that? So I'll show you how it works. So for the end of this show, I will give you the friendly reminder that Hornswoggle is the bastard son of Vince McMahon in kayfabe. Goodbye and good night.